Okay, this is Monday, December 28th. I wanted to share with you another low-risk setup that paid us very well today. STEC, S-T-E-C, there's the symbol up there. Um, this one closed last week, I'm going to say Thursday. Thursday was a half day, it was Christmas Eve. Closed at 1570. You can see it had this huge gap down back in on November 4th or 5th, whatever. Let me double check that. Yeah, on November 4th, this huge gap down here where it closed at 23.15 and the next day opened at 14.25 and sold off all day. Okay, now it's kind of put in a rounded bottom here, but a lot of activity is taking place trading between here and here, between these two prices. Okay, so then Thursday, Christmas Eve, it closed at 1570, set to open this morning in the pre-market. We saw it at looking like it was going to open near 16. It ended up opening at 1595. I don't have Monday's December, what's today? December 28th candle on here yet. I'll show it to you in a second. But this was set to open around 16. You look to the left here, and 1474 was the high of the day, gap down. I told the chat room, let's watch this one because, I'm not a big fan of all gaps must be filled and all that, but at the same time, you can look at all the trading that's transpired in here, okay? And once this gets up above 1626, officially, everybody who's short STEC from this day all the way to here, and look at the volume, that's a lot of shares, probably a lot of them short, being held short. Everyone is underwater who shorted this from here on once this gets above 1626, okay? So that's the way we were looking at it. With that gap up, you had this catalyst pretty close. Again, opened at 1695 today. Let me click to the right, show you today's candle. It did open here at 1695 and ran all the way to 1735. Hold on, I said that wrong. 1595 is where it opened. Sorry about that. And ran all the way to 1795. And just big volume today too. But the thing is, we knew we had a catalyst over here. And then the only other missing ingredient was a low-risk setup, okay? A tight place for a stop. So let's switch to fives here. And for the first 5 minutes, this thing traded between 1583 and 1595. That's a 12-cent range. And that's what we look for early. If we're playing an interesting gap on the daily chart, we want to find a very narrow early range. Why? Because that way we can buy the break of the high if it happens. If it doesn't happen, okay, if this thing trades in this range for 5 minutes and then continues lower, well, then we never take the trade. But if we have a narrow range, we can take the break of the early high, in this case 1596 right here, and put our worst case stop below the early range, below the low of the day, 1582. So a 14-cent risk. And what it's going to have to do is trade for 5 minutes in a narrow range, take out the high, and then roll over and then take out the low, which can happen, absolutely, and it does. But that's what's going to have to transpire for us to lose money on this one. Okay, so 1596, and then for another, remember these are 5-minute candles, for another 10 minutes, this thing stayed under 1609. It hit 1609 5 or 10 minutes in, and then for another 5 minutes went sideways. So I actually called an add here at 1610, which made my new average 1602, and I said, but now that I've added, I'm going to protect my new average. So had this come down to 1602, I would have just been out for a flat trade. And you don't have to add, but it just seemed like, hey, this 1610 is pretty close to that price we just talked about. Show you here again on the daily of 1627. Okay, and I was thinking if it gets to 1627, who knows what can happen? Because, like I said, everybody in this entire area that's short is underwater at that point. And you can see after it hit 1510, didn't take very long, and it was straight up to 1711, and this thing ultimately went to 1735 for a very nice profit potential there on a very low risk again. And that's kind of what we think we specialize in here, and we try to find the high potential movers with a low risk entry, and STEC certainly provided that for us. So we'll try to follow up with some more videos. Have a great night.